Hi, and welcome to the Selected Tech podcast, brought to you by a group of 4 MVPs doing webinars, sessions, and interviews on all things SharePoint, Office 365, and the Microsoft AI ecosystem. Their motto is learn, share, reuse. And here they are, Albert Jan, Rick, Stephan, and Tommy.
Hi, welcome at episode number 26. Tonight, Stephan is going to walk us through authentication options in Microsoft Teams around chatbots. So Rick did his last episode 25, on doing single sign-on in tabs. And now we're going to focus on how to set up everything around chatbots, showing single sign-on options when building chatbots and how to integrate it. So hope to get you some insights in how things are working. Stephan, take it away.
Thanks, Appy. Let me just quickly grab my screen so I can actually show something. So before we actually dig deeper into code and config, just want to really briefly show you how that will look like, and I hope this demo will work because, as you can see, I already tried to at least interact with my bot when the Azure AD outage has happened, and therefore it didn't respond. So we'll try it again, and I'll give you the details afterwards. So what I have here is a really simple Teams app, which only consists of a chatbot or a bot. Built with the Microsoft Bot Framework. And what it actually does, as you can see here, I just pasted in some random text like hi, and it immediately greeted me with some user account details. So it actually went through the whole graph thing, picked out my username, my user principal name, and greeted me within that card. And the funny thing here is I didn't have to log in anywhere. So this is the whole conversation. I had no, let's say, kind of login hint. I had no chance to log in somewhere except for the Microsoft Teams client itself. So this actual demo proves that single sign-on is possible not only within tabs, but also within bots built using the Microsoft Bot Framework. And if you want to go further, I just can actually show my bearer token, which is my single sign-on token here, for the sake of demonstration. So you should never do that in real life production. But this actually proves that I got my token, which is my single sign-on token, from my bot or through my bot, which actually is stored within the Teams local storage. So let's take a look on the things which are happening in the background. So I'll quickly move my Visual Studio up here. So what I have prepared is I went from a EchoBot template. So I just created an EchoBot using Visual Studio with the latest Bot Framework SDK version. And what the EchoBot comes with is some classes like the EchoBot class. It comes with a controller, adapter, and stuff like that. And what you need to do in order to make it work is a couple of things. First, within your startup, you need to register a new class, which we'll see in a minute, which is called, in my case, Token Exchange Helper. This is the class basically which does the whole magic for you. So if you look at it, it's a class library or class which you don't have to develop on your own. It's out there on GitHub, published by Microsoft in the Bot Builder samples repo. And what this actually does is, first of all, it grabs your connection name from your app settings. So within your app settings, you should have at least a reference to a connection name, which is then bound to the Azure Bot service. We'll see that later on in the Azure portal. But this is nothing more than your configured OAuth connection from your botchain registration service or from your Azure Web App Bot, which will be then used to connect between the Bot Framework service and Azure AD. So this is the first thing. And then within there, you have a couple of methods for actually exchanging the token, which the Bot Framework service gets, to a real single sign-on token. And it all basically does that silently, so the users won't notice that there's an actual token exchange happening, because there's no OAuth prompt, there's no pop-up saying you need to log in somewhere, and you don't need to provide some credentials wherever possible. The only thing the user should do is to log in to the Teams client, and with that login, the bot will automatically, or is able to automatically grab that token from Microsoft Teams and from the storage there, and exchange it to a single sign-on token to log the user in on behalf of the user. So there's a class for that, token exchange helper service, which does that for you. And then within your bot class, the only thing you need to do basically is to check if there's some kind of token exchange happening. If so, and the token exchange helper service is able to exchange the token, we're good to go. If not, we should be able, or the bot should be able to present the user with an OAuth prompt as a fallback. So in case that the authentication or the exchange of the token doesn't work, but the user wants to sign in, we need to provide a fallback solution, meaning we could provide an OAuth prompt for the user, saying, okay, single sign-on for you didn't work now, but you have the chance to sign in here, click here. We all know that same thing as Rick showed last time with that pop-up, where the user can then enter username and password, and through that the bot will actually be able to grab the token and lock the user in. So that's mainly from the bot side of things. As said, the whole code is published by Microsoft in the bot builder samples repo. I think it's still under the experimental folder, but at least it's working from there. You can grab the code. We'll make sure the links are in the show notes. And last thing you need to add to your solution, of course, as it is a Teams application, we have a Teams manifest, app manifest. And in there, we basically have the same things as the tab Rick showed in the last episode. The only thing different is for the web application info, you need to at least make sure that the resource URI is valid. And in case of a chatbot, it's not API // your Azure ID, app ID. It's with the bot ID dash leading. So you need to make sure that this bot ID dash is in there. Otherwise, your single sign-on bot won't work. And we'll see that in a bit, that this basically comes from the Azure portal. So if we switch back to our browser and we have the botchain registration service in there, there are two things you need to consider. First of all, make sure that you copy the Microsoft App ID from your bot and the app secret from your bot somewhere. You can do basically, or you can actually use the Microsoft App ID, which comes along with your botchain registration service for hosting the whole app registration, or you can create a separate one if you want to separate the do this. So make sure you've got the keys and the secrets copied somewhere. And as I said, within the botchain registration service, you need to create a new OAuth connection of type Azure AD version 2, which has the same name here in the Azure portal as within the app settings. If I switch back to my app settings, it says SSO bot connection. This is basically the same name as we can see here, and this should be the same name. So your bot, no matter if it's running locally or within Azure, is referring to that name within that configuration, and that name within that configuration is bound to your bot Microsoft App ID, and therefore it's able to find the configuration, and within there you basically insert the client ID, which is the Microsoft Azure AD app registration ID of the app rack, which has your single sign-on settings configured, along with the secret of that, along with the token exchange URL. And as I said, bot ID dash is really important to be inserted in here, because otherwise it wouldn't work for a bot, because it's not the same as for a tab in here. And then you need to of course, include the tenant ID and the scopes. So in my case, it's just OpenID profile and user read, which are the scopes my Azure AD app registration uses in order to actually use the Microsoft Graph APIs in the backend. And if I now go ahead and manage my Microsoft App ID, we have some things in here configured which are important and necessary to be configured for the whole single sign-on bot to work. First of all, under authentication, make sure redirect URIs or at least one redirect URI is containing added in here. So it should be the token.botframework.com/whatever URI in here. So make sure that's in place. Otherwise, authentication of any bot, no matter if it's a single sign-on bot or if it's a regular bot which uses authentication, without that URI, without that redirect URI added here, it won't work. And also make sure that you have checked the access tokens to be issued by the authorization endpoint, because otherwise there's no token flow happening. And for exposing the API or for making the whole thing work, you need to, as I said, create a new application ID URI. And this is different from the one Rick showed. So it's not just API and followed by the Azure AD app ID. You need to make sure that the bot ID is placed in there as well. And then you need to make sure that this app ID URI has the right scopes in place. In our case, admins and users can consent to that. And this is important because if the user will actually use the bot for the first time and interact with the bot for the first time, and I can't unfortunately demonstrate that in live today, but usually the bot will display the message closely to the text input field saying we need to ask you for additional permissions. And in here, I'm just a regular user, I'm not an admin, so I can actually consent to the scopes and the permissions the bot needs. So no admin needs to consent for the let's say basic permissions. If you just want to grab basic permissions and use delegated permissions, because the users can do that by themselves. So they get that information, they click continue, then they accept it, and for that specific user, the permissions are granted.
We should do a session together to see if we can figure out how we can add single sign-on to tabs and to bots then, because yeah, you're gonna either need two app registrations or I'm not sure. You cannot have two application IDs URLs. So
you need definitely two app registrations. And it's just about that application ID, you're right, because the rest is still the same. So the scope configuration is the same. The authorized clients are the same. Basically, everything is the same, except for that little string between those lines.
One might think that two different people created these features, or two different teams.
Two different teams.
There's one big if includes bot ID.
Yeah.
Go left.
Yeah. But that's basically it. So the configuration is here and there nearly the same, no matter if you're doing bots or tabs. Of course, within the code, there are major differences, because within a tab, you won't use that kind of token exchange helper stuff and stuff like that. But from the configuration side of things, within Azure and within the Teams app manifest, it's nearly the same. So hopefully in the future, they will align those two concepts even more, so you don't need to think about it. Am I doing a tab now or am I doing a bot now? Because it should be the same. But I guess
looks cool.
that's about it.
Makes for an interesting use case. You could do a bot where you can get all your to-dos, or you can ask me what's the latest file I've been working on, and without the whole authentication flow, it's just as long as your token does allow for that scope that you're trying to query, you can say, sure, give it to me. That's really cool.
And the cool thing here is you can even have a more personalized look and feel in there, because from the first message on, you can have that kind of notion that the bot will actually know who the user is. So you can greet the user with his name and use all the graph APIs and stuff like that. So it's really user friendly then.
Yeah, I think the added value is not in the Microsoft sphere, or in the there's tons of ways to get my lists to do tasks, and there's apps here and an app there. I think it's just authenticating the user and then making sure that they can go to whatever backend there is.
Yeah,
what that really has business value. Give me all the sales from Dynamics, or give me all the I don't know, in SAP, or give me all the I don't know, the production from yesterday, all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Cool. I interrupted you, Tommy. You were going to say something?
Yeah, the other thing is that you can use profile data to make the bot more personal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know, department, site location, language, all those things from Azure AD. You can do part of that already with the token and getting back as a claim, but making the bot more personalized, maybe even saving preferences somewhere.
I was at a company once where they included it was a company policy or the company atmosphere that everybody said the U form and the normal how we talk to each other form, except if you were C-level, then everybody was very polite and you have to address them with sir and all that stuff. So they also implemented that in their bot. That's whatever they said, it was a normal user that logged in. It was, we can do this for you. And if it was like a C-level, then, sir, this will be, it was a totally different experience.
Create an Austrian version with all academic titles.
Yeah.
Very important over here, still.
Okay, still, yeah.
Yeah. So in case anyone wants to try it, this is the link. Unfortunately, is really long, but if you Google for bot builder samples and you go to the experimental folder within the GitHub repo, you should find the Teams SSO sample.
It will be in the show notes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. We'll add those. I would say cool stuff, but I got a little bit scared that it was different. And also, if I look at this 6 months ago, also freaks me out after the time. Nothing is moving.
Yeah, but
it's different for tabs. Yeah, okay. It works this way. Yeah. Getting it from experimental to the other one. Okay.
Yeah, I think that's still a lot of, let's say, a lot of headroom to improve or to make it easier. And I think we all can agree that most probably that's not the end of the story here. So things.
Well, probably
I mean, the fact that you even need a token exchange helper class for doing all that stuff isn't very dev friendly. So it should be included into the SDK, and it should be just one dependency. And you want to do that, and I don't want to care about if I want to get the storage key and stuff like that. It should just work for me as a developer. But yeah, we'll see.
Can only guess, but I'm pretty sure that's for sure not the end goal in mind of the product manager responsible for those features. So that's on the way, probably.
Yeah, definitely.
Awesome.
Cool.
Okay.
See you next time.
So with this should be the closing of this webcast.
For now, at least.
For now, yeah.
Yeah.
Then let's.
Till next time.
Yeah.
See you guys next time. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Make sure to check out the show notes at selectedtech.show to get all the mentioned references. And one more thing. Please tweet about the podcast and give them a 5-star review. This really helps the guys a lot. Thank you and see you next time. Bye.